I, 23 female, reunited with a high school ex, 25 male, after I achieved my bachelor's. Before this happened, my now husband was living with a girlfriend at the time. He admitted to having a lot of money troubles, which she covered for a lot. The short story is his car broke down, and she helped pay for repairs along with picking up his share of the rent a few times. We rekindled quickly and eloped a few months into our relationship. We now have a child who's in daycare while both of us work. Our apartment is super crammed, so I discussed purchasing a home. My parents are helping with my school loan, so this would all be on us. We discussed proper budgeting and other ways to save up when he admitted he was trying to save some money to repay his ex for the car repairs. Things unraveled into a messy fight. In my opinion, my husband has felt guilty for moving on so quickly from this girl when we got back together, and he wants to repair the damage he caused. It's not really about the money. He talks with a therapist about it, but no change. I told him buying a house along with our child is now the #1 priority, not this girl. He left and hasn't come back home. He says he needs some time. I left to let my mom and friends know what was happening to hear their thoughts. Mom sided with me, but my friends have suggested it is the right thing for him to do. The girl's fine, so I guess I don't get the point of paying her back almost 2 years later. Am I the idiot for not wanting my husband to pay his ex back thousands of dollars? But he's trying to do this to resolve some guilt. Edit. Let's say that's how their breakup happened. Does that actually impact the situation? Maybe they just broke up. Maybe he cheated. Either way, he and I are married now and have a kid and need to consider money. Yes, he has a moral obligation, but he also has an obligation towards us. So he cheated on her while he was mooching off her? What a prince. He owes her the money, so we should pay her back. His child should be the priority, but part of that is teaching good moral lessons, like paying someone back when you take advantage of them and take money from them. It's not like you'll be homeless. It'll just take a bit longer to buy a home. You are the idiot, OP. He cheated, and still he seems to be the more decent one in this relationship. His going to a therapist suggests that he may be going through something. The fact that the therapist told him to pay his debts back to her could mean he feels guilty about something between the two. Also, if they rekindled after OP completed her bachelor's, things did move really fast. She's 23 now, likely graduated at 21 at the earliest, assuming a 3-year degree, and they've had time to rekindle, elope, and produce a child? Man, he did the poor girl dirty. I'm assuming the elopement was a shotgun wedding due to an unplanned pregnancy, and that the pregnancy was the cause of the breakup from the ex-girlfriend. This is probably why the husband is in therapy for the breakup. Even if there wasn't active sneaking around behind her back, one minute he was struggling financially, and his girlfriend was picking up his slack to the tune of thousands for his car repairs and rent, which in itself implies she felt their relationship was stable and committed. And the next minute, he dumped her to rekindle with OP? Talk about whiplash for that poor woman. This guy cheated on this girl who was financially supporting him with OP, and now OP thinks he shouldn't pay her back. Oh, I'm sorry. He should pay her back when they're stable. Considering the amazing life choices you two make, I'm sure that financial stability will be coming very soon. You are the idiot. She lent him thousands of dollars. She could and should sue the crap out of him. My fiance, 35 male, recently proposed, and he got me a sterling silver ring from Walmart when he went there to get his nephew a kid's party costume. He even gave me the receipt so I could return or exchange it if it's not one I liked. He makes good money, as do I, and he got me a ring that's less than 2 hours of his wage, post-tax. Meanwhile, for his birthday, I got him something 10 times more expensive than he got for my engagement ring. He routinely buys toys and gadgets more expensive. I said I was offended, and he would have made me less angry if he just proposed with a ring pop. The dude went out and got a ring pop the next day. Not only did he go cheap, he didn't even find out my style or what I liked. He asked if I was seriously considering refusing the proposal just because of the ring, and I was being that type of girl. Do you think I'm the idiot for caring how cheap he went and how little effort he put into the ring he expects me to wear my entire life? P.S. I do buy my own jewelry, and yes, they're almost all more expensive than this. Everyone's the idiot here. While a cheap ring is not necessarily a problem, what's more important is that he didn't even try to find out what you liked and called you that kind of girl. I wouldn't want to marry someone who says stuff like that to me. The only thing uglier than the ring is his reaction to you expressing your disappointment. That being said, people nowadays have over-the-top expectations of what an engagement ring should cost. It's insane. A cheap engagement ring is fine as long as it's something you like. Plus, you can still upgrade if it's that important. I disagree. The dude's 35, makes good money, routinely buys expensive crap, and his proposal ring is from Walmart? If he was poor and doing his best, that's one thing. But less than 2 hours' wages, and even less thought put into it than that? Is this a joke? A test? What the heck? And why is he testing her if he's already decided he wants to spend the rest of his life with her? That's almost insulting. I'm guessing the actual proposal wasn't anything noteworthy either. Did he just roll over in bed and say, "Hey babe, wanna get married?" The test works both ways because now he's shown OP he's that kind of man, LOL. Is he prepping for a breakup maybe? Forcing your hand in a way? Based on his actions and his vocabulary, accusing you of being that type of woman, it sounds like he's setting the scene, making you the bad guy. I say that because he can't truly be that dense. In my opinion, there's nothing wrong with a cheap ring, as long as the effort is there. And it sounds like you're not convinced by his effort. Neither am I. I'm speaking as a divorced woman who's experienced men cheaping out and being inconsiderate like this. There's a difference between buying cheap because it's in line with what you both want and what both your values are, and buying cheap because you just don't care about your partner. Your fiancé is the latter. You deserve so much more than this, and I suggest you rethink marrying this man. There's a 99% chance it ends in divorce. My 27 female stepkids go to a boarding school 10 miles from our home that allows for both day students and students who board there. My husband, this is before he met me, switched them from day students to boarding there 2 years ago when his late wife was dying from cancer. He's a doctor, so it was a cruel mockery of all he was to have to watch his wife spend the last year of her life in excruciating pain. When the last months came, my husband had all but emotionally wasted away, and school administration helped transition my stepkids, male teen and female tween, from being day students to boarding school students. They were furious at him for having done that at first, and when my husband and I started dating, sometimes he put the phone on speaker, and I'd hear the bitterness from both kids about being away from home. But then time passed and the complaints mercifully stopped. I understand that I have to earn their respect and trust, and I am willing to wait as long as I need to get that. However, I've seen texts to their dad where they've said it's hard to respect me, and I can't help but think that their living situation is to blame. If they're away from home and calling the other boarding students quasi-siblings, and their dorm parent a beloved aunt and therapist rolled into one, they have no incentive to not emotionally detach from their family at home. I recently found out I was pregnant. However, now that we're married with a child on the way, my husband has said he'll defer to me regarding family matters. I was raised in a Catholic family where frugality is important. My mom always said, just because an expense wouldn't make a dent in your bank account doesn't mean you should spend that money if it's unnecessary. My husband does have money. He's owned pain clinics for years and recently opened up a medical spa. However, just because we have the money doesn't mean we should continue to pay for the boarding school. My husband has finished grieving and wants to look towards the future as a united family. So I said that my stepkids should move back in with us. The boarding school thing was supposed to be temporary. We would save a whole lot of money. And in my experience, the bonding I did with my siblings came from helping care for them. I told my husband this, and he agreed. We spoke with the school administration to figure out what we needed to do. My stepkids were furious, saying that they had found a safe place with their classmates, and this was not our decision. My husband told them he agreed, and it was time to come home. They accused him of abandoning them and then changing his mind when they finally felt their boarding school was home to them. They then turned on me and snapped that I was overstepping my boundaries. My husband interjected and said to apologize for their disrespect, and I had a right to input about our family. Am I the idiot? This isn't just about money. This is about family and wanting them to bond with their new sibling. You are the idiot. Your stepkids have been disregarded every step of the way. They're hurt and feel betrayed and deserted. And now you're heaping on it by once again ignoring their wishes and wants. You want to uproot their entire lives just because you find frugality important. In other words, you put adhering to an arbitrary value above the well-being of the kids. You want the kids to bond with and help care for their new step-sibling. Seems to me you only want cheap babysitters and maybe some playthings for your own kid. You're an idiot, and your husband is too for deserting his kids and not opposing this stupid idea. It's weird how OP didn't care about frugality until she got pregnant. She didn't care about frugality until she thought about daycare cost and wanting free in-home help. Honestly, she isn't entirely wrong in that she hasn't been able to bond with them because they're in boarding school, but she didn't care about that until she saw how they could benefit her. Exactly. I doubt she's met them while dating their dad, engaged or married to their dad. They've been at a boarding school all year and every year since before their mom died. They didn't get to see their mom at all. Probably didn't go to the funeral if there was one, let alone a memorial service, and were just left at the school. My hunch would be that OP was an employee in one of the clinics. OP's only 12 years older than the eldest child. It is telling that she didn't state her husband's age as well. Well, their scumbag father is an opioid dealer, pain management doctor, so of course he's rolling in money. Oh wait, Ms. Cruella de Gold Digger is frugal, so I'm sure the millions he's earned over the years pushing Oxy onto unsuspecting construction workers and car accident victims have absolutely nothing to do with why she's attracted to an idiot who abandoned his children at boarding school and left his cancer-stricken wife to die alone while he screwed around with good old Catholic girls like her. You are the idiot, OP. You're a real piece of work. Those kids both are going to hate you even more. My brother and sister-in-law had been married for 10 years, and I loved them dearly. My sister-in-law has been in a wheelchair since childhood due to a car accident that left her paralyzed from the waist down. She's an incredible person, and I consider her like a sister. A few days ago, they told our family that she was 2 months pregnant. I got worried because I know that pregnancy can be very risky for women with disabilities. I read that they're more likely to experience complications like preeclampsia, blood clots, urinary tract infections, premature birth, and the need for a cesarean section. Additionally, they might have difficulty sensing contractions, pushing during labor, and caring for the baby after birth. I tried expressing my concern to my brother, but he got a bit offended and said I was disregarding their choice. He mentioned they had planned this pregnancy for a long time and were prepared to face the challenges. He said that they have the support of her family, friends, and doctors, and they'll provide all the care the baby needs. I didn't want to hurt them, but I think they're being irresponsible and selfish. They're putting my sister-in-law's and the baby's lives at risk to fulfill the desire for a biological child. They could have adopted, but they chose to risk it all. We haven't spoken since, and they're very upset with me. My mother called me, saying I was very insensitive and should apologize. My husband agrees that I should apologize too. However, I feel like I was just being honest and realistic. Am I the idiot? Since you like Dr. Google so much, I put your symptoms in, and the result came back as, you are the idiot. There's no cure, but Dr. Google said one way to ensure this affliction doesn't get any worse would be to mind your own business. Jesus, OP, Your sister-in-law is a full-grown adult. Stop infantilizing her. I hate to break it to you, but she did play a part in getting pregnant. The ableism is astounding here. She's not wheelchair-bound. She uses a wheelchair. You somehow know more about her risk, conditions, etc. than she could, and somehow your brother is responsible for her, not herself? Many disabled women have healthy, happy pregnancies and births, just with different care than others may require. How dare you think you know better than they do? Apologize, then shut up and mind your own business. Plus, they mentioned that their brother said they have the support of her doctors. It sounds like this decision was carefully considered, and they talked to the best people about it, versus OP, who's read some information from God knows where and decided that they know best. Not to mention that pregnancy can be dangerous or even fatal for able-bodied women, but I'm guessing OP doesn't usually fuss about that. Nah, clearly OP knows more about her sister-in-law's health than her doctors. What do they know? They've just gone to school for nearly a decade and have personally examined and gone over everything with sister-in-law. So that's nothing compared to OP and her WebMD degree. She has the power of Google. Nothing knows more than a random Google search. Oh, honey, did you just arrive on Earth? Are you a doctor? More specifically, are you her doctor? They have planned the pregnancy and are more aware of what risk may or may not be involved. You're not an obstetrician. Your fears, based on very, very incomplete information, overwhelmed you, and you overreacted badly. Apologize as soon as possible and never bring it up again. Honestly, you should be embarrassed. Why, oh why, is there so often an overlap between loud and dumb? My girlfriend is a real homebody, and she doesn't really enjoy doing outdoor activities often. Every other week or so, I like to take the weekend to go camping on my own, because there are some great views to see where we live. So I usually head out around Saturday morning and drive a few hours out to a campsite, spend the night camping, ride my dirt bike down some trails the next day, and return home around 5 to 6 the next day. So this weekend, I was packing my bags to head out on Saturday, and my girlfriend asked me, "What do you even do out there?" I told her what I do, and she said, "That can't be all you do. That seems so boring. Don't you go to a restaurant or something?" I told her, "Nah, that's really all I do when I head out." And she didn't believe me, so she wanted to tag along with me on this weekend's trip. I told her that I didn't want her to come with me, since I knew she wouldn't enjoy herself and be miserable. And also I like it because it lets me disconnect, and bringing people along with me kind of defeats the purpose. She got sad since she assumed I was only doing it so I could spend time away from her, which isn't true, and she refuses to believe me now. You are the idiot. You go regularly. What's the harm in bringing her for one trip? If she doesn't like it, she'll leave you to it. If she does, well, you've just unlocked a cool new hobby for your partner, which you can share. You can still take alone trips if that's important to you, by agreeing when and where, but deciding for your girlfriend that she won't like it and stopping her from joining you is a bit of an idiot move. Let her figure that out for herself. Yes, exactly. Like, at least try it out for once with her if she's asking to come. Also, I wouldn't be surprised if the girlfriend thinks OP is cheating on her. He goes away every other weekend alone, and then when she asks to come, he comes up with a bunch of flimsy excuses as to why she can't. That would be triggering alarm bells for me. This OP. Bring her. Let her see for herself. Make sure she has warm stuff to be comfortable in, good shoes and things, a book she's been wanting to read, a crochet project to occupy her time. It might be good to introduce her to the quiet and see what she thinks of it. So, no idiots here, but I think you could have tried a little harder to explain it. We've been working together for 2 years. He's 31, I'm 28. He makes $80K a year, approximately, and I make $44K. Working on more, but it is what it is. I'm hoping that within a year I can get to $60K. We live separately, but lately, He talked with me about asking me to contribute financially because I'm at his a lot, maybe 3 to 6 days a week. I said I would think about it, and we left the conversation there. I texted him a few days later, asking whether having me over was expensive for him, how much he thought I cost him to come over, and what he was hoping I would cover in terms of expenses. He said he knew I made less than him, but he thought 20 to 30% of what he covers in rent was more than fair. He pays $2,100, since I'm over there half the time depending on the week. I told him that was too much, especially considering that I make far less than he does and I already pay rent at my place. So I told him I contribute via groceries. He said that that wasn't fair since we go out frequently. I said that I don't choose to go out frequently. I cook for myself, and I'd be happy to cook at his place for myself or for both of us. He doesn't like home-cooked meals, no matter who makes them. He just likes the convenience of picking something up. So now I'm being more cautious about how much I go over, and I bring groceries whenever I go. Instead of 3 to 6 times a week, I'm now there 1 to 2 times a week at most. He's complained about the frequency of intimacy, and I responded that I couldn't afford to keep having intimacy with him if he charges $400 for monthly rent to have me come over frequently. He said I was taking that out of context. I personally don't see how. Now, having a boyfriend is a part of my budget. If I go over too much, then he's going to bring up that it's unfair that he covers all hosting costs. He can come to my place whenever he likes, but my place is much smaller and scaled down to my income, so he never wants to. Does that make me the idiot because I might not be paying my fair share? Not the idiot, but OMG, you don't have a boyfriend. You have a giant red flag. Who the heck puts a rent tag on their significant other coming over for a visit so he can keep his place and stay single? I was thrilled to have my girlfriend, now wife, stay at my place whenever she could, rent-free. What is wrong with people? His request that you pay for the privilege of being invited over to his home is ridiculous. You pay your rent at home. If he doesn't want you at his home, he doesn't have to invite you over. Do not feel obliged to make it up to him by paying for groceries, or more intimacy for that matter. He's selfish and strangely money-grubbing by asking you to contribute to his rent. Are you sure he's worth visiting at all? Yeah, the boyfriend expects OP to pay him $400 monthly to come over for his private services? OP, the only way you should be paying any contribution towards his rent is if you're both living together with one rent payment. If he wants to see you badly enough, he can come to your place and help contribute to your bills, correct? All's fair in love, or he can help you move into a bigger place and pay the difference. He could choose to come more often to your place and go along with the home-cooked meals. Instead, he chose to make you come to his place and to cover eating out as it's his preference. It seems everything has to be on his terms. The entitlement is so strong, he even feels you should financially contribute to his decisions, even if you earn less and are offered fair alternatives. Bail, sis. This man has so many red flags. He should have a theme park named after him. You're a young woman with your whole life ahead of you. Don't be conflicted for half a second. No woman should put up with this beyond ridiculous crap from a man. This man does not love you. You are worth so much more than some groceries. I-30 female recently got married to Matt, 30. Matt has a stepsister, Tiffany, 28. I've met her less than 10 times in the 5 years that I've dated Matt, as she doesn't live nearby and is not close to my husband. However, she was invited to our wedding. I should mention that Tiffany is beautiful. She's pretty with a currently fashionable body type. She also dresses well and spends money on her appearance. This is well known. And even though I've only met her a few times, whenever my in-laws bring her up, she's always mentioned as being very invested in her image. I don't begrudge her this at all. The ceremony went fine, but afterward, while my in-laws were congratulating me, my father-in-law commented that I looked beautiful, and in the next breath mentioned Tiffany did too. His wife caught his eye and shook her head, but I ignored it. When Tiffany came over to say congratulations, she looked stunning. Her dress was beautiful and fit her perfectly. Her hair and makeup looked like they'd been done professionally, and she was wearing a pair of obviously designer shoes. Her outfit was appropriate for the event, but I was weirdly upset by how she looked and immediately felt self-conscious next to her. Even Matt told her she looked great, and they rarely talked. For the rest of the night, every male guest at the wedding asked about Tiffany, who she was, how I knew her, if she was single, etc. I was fed up and almost in tears by the speeches, and even the best man mentioned her in his speech off the cuff. Finally, I let it go, went on my honeymoon, and tried to forget the whole thing. We returned about a week ago, and this past weekend we had dinner with my in-laws. Tiffany was visiting, and we learned that she had gotten engaged. She showed us her comically large ring and said she was planning to have the wedding next year and that it would be a black tie event. Before I could stop myself, I jokingly said that I was pretty sure I'd already been to her wedding. I was the one in the white dress. She asked what I meant, and I thought there was no point in lying, so I just admitted that I felt she upstaged me at my wedding. She laughed and said, "You can't upstage a bride." I asked if I could wear white to her wedding then, and she shrugged and said, "If you think it'll help." She then apologized if I felt her outfit was inappropriate. My in-laws moved the conversation on, and we went on with dinner. When we got home, my husband blew up on me, saying I embarrassed him by being petty and jealous of Tiffany. He said he doesn't even like her, but even he knows she can't do anything about what she looks like or the clothes she can afford, and I made myself look bitter and childish, and him by association. I'll admit it wasn't my best moment, but I thought that he would at least understand how I felt, given that he had heard everyone's comments that night. He's demanding that I apologize to Tiffany and his parents, but I don't think I said anything that heinous. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. Do you know what makes Tiffany so attractive compared to you? Her confidence. I asked if I could wear white to her wedding then, and she said, "If you think it'll help." What a classy, confident woman Tiff must be to react to such a petty, jealous attack with such a smooth shutdown and follow it up with an apology despite being wholly unnecessary. If you weren't busy feeling threatened by her, you could learn a thing or two. Heck, I'd love to learn a thing or two from her. Someone came to your wedding. Her outfit was appropriate for the event, and because men at your wedding were more attracted to her than you, she upstaged you and ruined your wedding? So you wanted all of the men attending your wedding, besides the one you're marrying, to be romantically interested in you, the bride, on the day you celebrate your commitment to your husband? And she's a bad person for being conventionally attractive, putting effort into her appearance, and having people notice that? Should she have put on some coveralls and a baseball hat and sat in the back so that you could have the spotlight on you? Sorry, they wanted to chat up the lady not actively getting married. Tiffany is hilarious and beautiful. Your comment about the comically large ring just adds jealousy to your list of negative qualities. By your own admission, the outfit was completely appropriate for the event. She didn't wear white, announce her engagement or pregnancy during your wedding, strip or bang the best man in the cloak closet. She simply attended. Apologize and work on your insecurities. I, 34 male, am not fond of my brother's wife, 23. Even before the wedding planning started, the overall vibe was just weird. She's very demanding of my little brother. She tried to insert herself into our family very quickly. They were only together for 8 months before they got engaged. I do my best to play nice for my brother's sake. I agreed to be one of his best men, but expressed my concerns to him both before and after I accepted. Their wedding was today. It was a beautiful ceremony, and I made it through without much incident. My husband and our infant were there as guests, and I was looking forward to spending time with them following the ceremony. Neither myself nor my husband was drinking more than 1 glass of champagne, since our son was there, but there was an open bar. My brother's wife was already at least tipsy by the time the first dances picked up. After all the usual dances, she came over to where my husband and I were seated and held out her arms for our son. She said she wanted to have a first dance with him. It was a cute gesture, but I smiled and politely declined. She and I don't have much of a relationship outside of your usual pleasantries, and I don't feel comfortable with her holding my son. She tried again, and my husband stepped in and told her a stern no since she didn't accept the first one. She kind of laughed things off, and things went on without incident after that. The event wrapped up about an hour ago, and I've since received some pretty scathing texts from my brother saying that I embarrassed his wife at her wedding and that she's very upset. Am I the idiot? Tipsy plus probably wearing heels plus probably in a dress that obstructs movement or creates a tripping hazard. No way you're holding my baby. Not the idiot. A baby isn't a prop to be passed around, especially to a person drinking. You said she was already tipsy. Spinning around the dance floor with a wiggly infant spells disaster. You also aren't required to let someone hold your baby if you're not comfortable with it, no matter how much of a tantrum they throw after the fact. Also, wearing a dress that she'll likely be really angry if the baby spits up on it, because spinning a baby around on a dance floor sounds like a great way to make them throw up. If she doesn't already have a strong relationship with you and your family, she's basically just using the baby as a prop. And good for you to draw a boundary for your child's safety. What if she had tripped or fallen? Your brother ought to be ashamed he backed her up. You are the idiot, because it 100% sounds like you don't like your sister-in-law for no apparent reason. I got complete petty vibes from you towards your brother's new wife. Your overall tone is judgmental. Your brother proposed at 8 months, did he not? Why is she at fault for that? The real cause of friction between you and your brother is that you probably turn your nose up at his relationship and aren't as good at hiding it as you think. Yeah, I'm 100% with you. This post starts by claiming that he doesn't like her because she dared to insert herself into the family while giving no examples, which is usually a sign that OP wanted to exclude her for some silly reason. Honestly, the rest of the post makes me wonder if she was tipsy or just happy about her wedding. I have the feeling everything she does is taken in the wrong way because of his strong dislike for her. My female 26. Car broke down several weeks ago. My boyfriend, Nick, 29, drives me to and from work daily, which I'm thankful for. However, he has this habit of waving me goodbye every time he drops me off at work. I mean a hand-up waving type of waving. It didn't bother me much until one of my coworkers saw him and brought it up to the whole department later to laugh about it. I was livid that day. Nick came to pick me up and I didn't say anything till we got home. That's when I flipped out and told him that the way he was waving me goodbye like I was some 5-year-old girl embarrassed me in front of my coworkers. He acted confused and said he didn't get what was wrong with what he was doing and he was just making a nice gesture. I told him he should have used some other method like a text or something, but he argued that, first of all, he's doing me a favor dropping me off and picking me up every day, using his car and driving an extra 20 minutes to get to his own work, and that second of all, my coworkers were rude to think that this was something they would get a laugh from and said I should be mad at them, not him, instead of saying I embarrassed him. We argued some, and he stopped speaking to me for the rest of the night. I feel like an idiot. I appreciate his favor, but to wave at me like I was a schoolgirl got my coworkers laughing and making me the butt of their weird joking habit. Am I the idiot for telling him that he embarrassed me? You are the idiot, and your coworkers are idiots who need more love in their lives. Go and apologize to your boyfriend. Tell him nicely, if you don't want to be waved off, even then, it's clear the only disdain you have for it is because your mean coworkers take the piss out of it. The coworker who brought it up did so because they have no one in their life who cares enough to wave goodbye to them or even drop them off. I'd be over the moon if someone did that for me every day. You're embarrassed not by your boyfriend, but by what some idiot at your work thinks of him. Your loyalty should lie with him, not with some bully colleague. When I used to work, my husband would sometimes come into the restaurant for some food after his shift and gasp, kiss me goodbye when he left. What kind of sad existence are all these people living when a simple goodbye wave is a cause for embarrassment? Let me clarify. You have a boyfriend who drives you to and from work. He's sweet enough to wave goodbye when he drops you off. Your coworkers are jealous that you have a sweet and charming boyfriend who cares about you, so they joke about it. You're embarrassed that your coworkers see you have a sweet and charming boyfriend, and you care more about what your coworkers think than your boyfriend. Does that sum it up? If I were you, I'd apologize to your boyfriend before he waves you goodbye for good. My female teen, father 46, is the breadwinner, while my mom is a stay-at-home mom. She handles everything around the house, like cooking, mopping, washing, laundry, etc. I'm the oldest, and I try to help, but there's only so much I can do while my dad just gets home at the end of the day and complains about everything, like how the carpet isn't clean or how the food is cold. As a result, I'll have to listen to a huge argument daily between him and my mom. It's exhausting, But honestly, I think that my dad is in the wrong here. I tried to talk to him to get him to see how his behavior was, but to no avail. So I picked one of his days off and pretended to act like him. I put together an outfit that looked like a suit and put black tape over my lips to look like a mustache. At 6 p.m., I went inside the house, shouted, "I'm home," then sat next to him in the living room and started kicking my shoes while complaining about the state of the house at the top of my lungs. He glanced at me, confused, asking what I was doing. I ignored him, then started yelling about the dirty carpet, the shower not ready, the kids needing to be quiet, and so on. He kept staring while Mom and my siblings laughed. My youngest brother kept pointing toward me, saying, "This is Daddy." I then yelled about dinner and scolded my mom for not preparing it on time. My dad stopped me and in a serious tone asked what I was doing. I turned to him and said, "What? Can't a man rest after working darn long hours?" in the most macho voice I could muster. My dad got the hint because this was the common phrase he used daily. He went quiet and avoided looking at me. I stopped the act and told him I was just trying to show him what it's like every day when he comes home from work. He said nothing, just went outside and refused to speak to me. Later he went on about how I mocked and invalidated him, that he does work hard, and me doing this was disrespectful and invalidating. Mom said it was funny, but also thought I hurt my dad's feelings, and I could have gotten the message across in some other way instead. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. OMG, this made me laugh. Sometimes you have to give people a taste of their own medicine to get the point across. Maybe you can sit down with him and talk about how his behavior is hurtful and rude every day. Your mom sounds like she works hard too, and he shouldn't treat her like that. If your dad wears a suit to work, which you mentioned, he's not doing anything that makes him dog tired when he's arriving home at 6 p.m. That's a regular white-collar workday. I think you should keep up the act. Save that mustache for future use whenever necessary. LMAO, Dad's just clued into how toxic he's being without realizing he was being toxic. And most importantly, what he's showing to your siblings is showing them it's okay to be like this when it isn't. Breadwinner doesn't mean you get to throw your weight around as soon as you get home. Maybe this is the wake-up call your father needs.